Jeff here with you for episode number 30 of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here on YouTube. This is a GMTE Express add-on exclusive. We had AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite and WWE NXT going head-to-head once again this week. We'll begin it with AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite first. It took place from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. This was a taped episode. We had Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Nick Scalper on the call here. They began it with Lance Archer and Jake Roberts coming out to the ring here. We saw Lance Archer beat up a crew member on the way to the ring and really just tossed him into the tunnel there. Jake Roberts, good stuff here. He cut a promo, very good. Basically said he'll apologize to Brandy Rose just as soon as she kisses his ass. And then she also goes on to say that a woman's place is in the home. So being kind of the old chauvinistic type here. He doesn't get very much further. He's interrupted by Cody Rhodes revving the engine of his truck and actually driving it into the arena. And then sure enough, Cody Rhodes and Lance Archer start brawling here, giving you kind of a taste of what we're going to be seeing a Double or Nothing for that TNT Championship. It's pretty much back and forth. They don't really give too much away here. Ultimately, Cody stands tall in the end as Jake and Lance Archer bail and leave. So we had that. So kind of a little taste here. I thought this was actually pretty good. Tag team competition opened up the show here for our first action here. We had the Best Friends taking on the Jungle Express. I thought this was some pretty good business here. I thought not too bad. We just get to the late part of the match here. We see Ray Phoenix that he attacked Orange Cassidy at ringside, and then MJF attacked Jungle Boy while referee Aubrey Edwards got distracted, and then Chuck Taylor ultimately won the match for his team by hitting the Awful Waffle on Jungle Boy and got the pin with it. So the Best Friends get the win here for the Jungle Express, and then afterwards we saw Warlord, who was there at ringside in his suit there with MJF. He attacked Marco Stunt before Luchasaurus can get over there to do anything, and then they had a bit of a stare-off. So looks like they could be teasing a possible match with Jungle, with Luchasaurus and Warlord down the line. So we can be looking forward to that. We saw Moxley coming into the arena here. He was going to be trying to get interviewed. He refused that interview kind of in an angry fashion here, so we know why he's upset. Next up was a four-way women's match here. We had Hikaru Shida, we had Penelope Ford, Dr. Britt Baker, and Chris Statlander here in this match. I will say I thought this match, they're trying, I'll say. They tried. I thought the match was a bit sloppy. I think they're trying a little too hard here to try to get their stuff over here. I mean, Statlander looked like she landed on her neck maybe 2, 3, 4 times during the match. Looked like she could have gotten seriously hurt. I thought this could have been a lot better. Ultimately, in the end, Hikaru Shida got the win in the match. She pinned Penelope Ford because, of course, she did. It's the only reason why she's in the match. After she hit the big running knee. While that was going on, Britt Baker and Chris Statlander were on the floor, and then Britt Baker actually had Statlander in the lockjaw. So, yeah, that was pretty good there. So, obviously, they're telling the story of Britt Baker and Chris Statlander having a program, and, Shida and Ford here. Shida getting the win here, which is fine. She protected her number 1 position here for the AEW Women's title opportunity, so we had that. We had who we know as Pineapple Pete. It's Serge D here. He cut a backstage promo next, saying that he was initially insulted by the name Pineapple Pete, but then he learned to embrace it. So, yeah, he's wearing the pineapple T-shirt here, or whatever you want to call that. So that's cool. Next, we had more tag team competition. We had Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy teaming up for the second week in a row here. They took on other members of the Inner Circle. It's Proud and Powerful here. That's Santana and Ortiz. Back and forth here. I thought this was fine for what it was. The baby faces, Omega and Matt Hardy, do get their win back after losing last week here in that all over Daly's Place brawl that they had here. They win here in this one, so 50-50 booking. Ultimately, Omega won for his team after he hit Ortiz with the V-trigger, and then Hardy followed up with the Twist of Fate. So actually, Matt Hardy got the win here. So they get a bit of retribution from last week. Backstage, we saw Taz attempting to try to apologize to Darby Allin for offending him last week by talking about why he lost to Cody, but he ended up going on about it again, and then Darby stopped him again and just left. So, kind of playing up some dissension, I guess you could say, with Taz and Darby Allin. I don't see that being any type of a match or a program, but that's just been kind of interesting. Then we had Hikaru Shida being interviewed, was going to be interviewed, and then we saw Nyla Rose interrupted proceedings to say that she brought Shida a present, and she hit her with a kendo stick and yelled, "I found your kendo stick, bitch." Shida will, of course, face Nyla Rose for the women's title at Double or Nothing here, so clearly we had that. So Shida and Nyla Rose coming up here for Double or Nothing. MJF had a rare match here. We haven't seen him wrestle in quite a while here. He took on Lee Johnson, who has wrestled for AEW. He has yet to win a match, and he has continued to not win a match. Pretty good showing here for MJF. This was a showcase for him. He won pretty quick after tapping out Johnson to the armbar. After the match, MJF cut a promo and called out Jungle Boy, who he'll be taking on at Double or Nothing, and then he also announced that he'll be facing Marco Stunt next week, so they signed the contract for that, so we look forward to seeing that. We had Chris Jericho here. He was in action. He took on Pineapple Pete here, Surge D, whatever you want to call him. Pretty much a showcase for Jericho. Pineapple Pete does get some offense in early, but Jericho ultimately dominates and won pretty quickly and decisively with the Judas Effect back elbow on him, so he gets the win here. So, it has been announced that for these matches, we have upcoming matches for Double or Nothing. It was announced that we'll have a Stadium Stampede match. We'll have the Elite taking on the Inner Circle here, so they're going to finally have that match. We have Britt Baker taking on Chris Statlander. We have Private Party taking on Best Friends, and then we have Hikaru Shida taking on Nyla Rose in a no disqualification, no count out match for that women's title at Double or Nothing. And we also found out, this was pretty big news, that Mike Tyson will actually be present for Double or Nothing. He will be there to present the TNT Championship to the winner of the Cody Rhodes Lance Archer match. So pretty big get there to have Mike Tyson come in. Of course, we've all been seeing those videos of Mike Tyson recently. He looks pretty good, and I would not want to be in a ring with Mike Tyson because we know what he's capable of. So we had the Inner Circle out in the ring here for a promo. Chris Jericho challenged the Elite to that Stadium Stampede match at Double or Nothing. We saw Vanguard won, which of course is Matt Hardy's drone here. He appeared to accept the challenge on behalf of the Elite here. If you were paying attention, you saw Chris Jericho have a bat there. You knew what was coming here. Jericho eventually tells Vanguard 1 that his invitation to join the Inner Circle, because remember some weeks ago he had invited Vanguard 1 to join the Inner Circle. He rescinded that because they already have the 6th member, and it was the baseball bat that he's holding. He named it Floyd. And then, sure enough, you knew what was coming next. He used the bat to destroy Vanguard 1. Other members of the Inner Circle took turns beating up Vanguard 1. We do see Matt Hardy come back out to the arena. And then this is another thing that kind of puzzled me. You have 5 members of the Inner Circle. You have Jericho with the bat, and then you have just one person in Matt Hardy. But yet, the Inner Circle bails here. I don't quite understand that. They have a 5-on-1. You could even say 6-on-1 advantage, and yet they bail. So, Matt Hardy could be in there with Vanguard 1. So I didn't understand that. Your final match of the night, your main event, was Brody Lee taking on Christopher Daniels. Of course, Brody Lee's holding Moxley's AEW World title, which he stole. This was back and forth here, but Brody Lee ultimately wins in the end with the big discus lariat clothesline, so he gets a win here. Moxley did come down through the stands and took out a number of the Dark Order jobbers, but Brody Lee was able to escape with the AEW World title. Moxley cut a promo saying that he can admire the guts, but will not suffer disrespect, and that Brody Lee will pay for stealing his title. So that was it. That was AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite that took place from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's get on to NXT. It took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. This was taped earlier in the day on Wednesday. We had Mauro Ranallo and Beth Phoenix from their respective homes again, and Byron Saxton was on commentary here for this one. The show began with the NXT Tag Team title match here. We had Imperium, that's Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel, taking on Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher, who are holding the championships. Of course, Thatcher was holding it in place of Pete Dunne. Back and forth action here. We just get towards the end of the match here. We had some miscommunication by Riddle and Thatcher here. I believe Riddle had done something to inadvertently knock Thatcher off the ring apron. I think it was a kick or something. He ultimately leaves Riddle alone. He abandons him. It turns out to be a handicap match, and Imperium, sure enough, finishes off Matt Riddle with their powerbomb European uppercut combo, and they actually won the titles here, so they switched the titles. Not really a big surprise. Afterwards, we saw backstage that Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher got into a brawl, and then later on we would see Matt Riddle call William Regal to request a match for those two for the main event, so we will see that later on. We had Tegan Knox taking on Indy Hartwell here in the singles competition next. Indy Hartwell did get a good bit of offense in. This was her NXT debut. We had seen her on Raw against Shayna Baszler a few weeks back, where she lost pretty decisively. She gets some offense in on Tegan Knox, but Tegan Knox is able to come back and ultimately win in the end with the shiniest wizard, so Tegan Knox gets another big win here. We had a promo here from Rhea Ripley saying that she'll get the NXT Women's Championship back from Charlotte Flair, even if she has to go through Io Shirai to do it. So we know we're going to have that match with those two coming up. We had an interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament match here next. We had Jake Atlas taking on Tony Nese here. Pretty good business. I thought this was actually a very good match. We know Tony Nese can work, and Jake Atlas, even though he's pretty young, I thought he handled himself here pretty well. He ultimately won in the end with the Rainbow DDT, so he gets a big win here, and Tony Nese goes 0-3. So that tells you pretty much what they think of him. We had the Undisputed Era doing their best version of the Bubbly Bunch here with what AEW has been doing here. They did a Zoom call here, and we see eventually all four of them pop up on the screen here for the Zoom call, and they all decided that Roderick Strong should fight Dexter Lumis, so we'll see where that goes. We had a nice video package here, a great package here for Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux that aired set to the end here, which, if you were paying attention, was the old theme song for WWE Armageddon. So, again, pretty good stuff here, I thought. We had that. We had a video that aired next for Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. It basically featured them saying that they're going to hurt a lot of people here. Personally, I don't think Dakota Kai needs the muscle in Raquel Gonzalez. I think she's fine on her own here, but I guess this was to give her something to do here. So NXT, they had announced that they had this big announcement for NXT that was going to be talked about here, and it happened in this spot here. We saw Triple H and Shawn Michaels back in this, I guess, makeshift control room here. Eventually, we do see the Road Dogg appear as well. They do some comedy here, and basically it was announced that the next NXT TakeOver event is going to be coming up on Sunday, June 7th, and it's going to be called NXT TakeOver In Your House. This is basically to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the first In Your House pay-per-view that the WWF at the time used to do many years ago. So that's what they're going to have here. So it's going to be a special live event on Sunday, June 7th. So I think that's pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing that. We had singles competition up next here. We had Finn Balor taking on Cameron Grimes here in singles competition. The match itself, I thought, was pretty good here. We get towards the end of the match here, we get some late interference here from Damian Priest. He comes out to cause some issues with Finn Balor, and ultimately Cameron Grimes, in what I thought was an upset here, beat Finn Balor with the cave-in. Then after the match, Damian Priest hit the Reckoning on the chair and then revealed that he is the one who officially attack Finn Balor several weeks ago. So clearly we're getting a program with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, which should be pretty good business. Actually looking forward to that. It's a high profile spot here especially for Damian Priest to be working with someone like Finn Balor. So that's pretty good. We had another interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament match next. We had Gentleman Jack Gallagher taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Before the match got started, Swerve was coming out for his entrance. He got attacked by Tony Nese, injuring him, and then that injury, which he sold throughout the match, even though he would try to make the comeback, actually allowed Jack Gallagher, which I thought was a pretty decent match here. I thought Jack Gallagher actually got his first win in the tournament, even though he's not going to be the Cruiserweight champion because of his overall record. He did get a win here after hitting the rolling elbow strike, so Jack Gallagher at least gets a win here to save face. Women's action was up next here. We had Kaden Carter taking on Aaliyah here. This was, I guess, supposed to be a showcase for Aaliyah to see if she would join the Robert Stone brand, who he did himself. Robert Stone, the former Robbie E, of course, he came out towards the late part of the match here to kind of scout, see what she was doing. It didn't work. Kaden Carter ultimately won in the end, so Kaden Carter gets the win here. Aaliyah did not impress. Robert Stone did not look happy, but maybe he was scouting Kaden Carter, so we'll have to see what's going on there. We got another promo here with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae here. They're talking about, basically, they're at this dinner table again. And they're talking about Mia Yim and Keith Lee over dinner. So it looks like they could be setting up a program with those two here. Of course, Mia Yim and Keith Lee are a real-life couple. So looks like that may be the direction they're heading in next year. That could be some pretty good business, I think. They did announce on next week's program will feature Kushida taking on Drake Maverick in an NXT Cruiserweight tournament. We have Akira Tozawa taking on El Hilo del Fantasma here, the former King Cuerno, of course, next week as well in that tournament. And we have Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley, which should be some pretty good business there as well. So those matches are scheduled for the next week's NXT. Your main event for the night was that Matt Riddle-Timothy Thatcher match. I wish they would have given us some more time. This was some pretty good stuff here. I thought very good stuff here from these guys. Told a great story. Timothy Thatcher works over Matt Riddle most of the match here, but Matt Riddle does make the comeback here in the end. He ultimately won in the end after he reversed the submission into a pin and actually got the win with it. But after the match, Timothy Thatcher really got his heat in. He went after Matt Riddle and put him in the Fujiwara armbar here. Matt Riddle was tapping out here. He actually put it on him twice, as a matter of fact, as they went off the air. Matt Riddle was tapping. So they made Timothy Thatcher look out to be like a big monster heel here. So I thought this was pretty good. So that was it. That was NXT. It took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Let's get on to the ratings real quick here. For this week's ratings, they're in. AEW Dynamite did beat NXT once again in viewership and in the demo. AEW won this week with 654,000 viewers. That is down 11% from last week. They beat NXT, who had 604,000 viewers. They were down 9% from last week. So they won by 50,000 viewers, or by 8.3% overall. AEW ranked 15th in the Cable 150 in the demo, while NXT ranked 46th. AEW was 65th in viewership. NXT was 67th. This was the lowest AEW viewership in the history, and it was the fourth lowest NXT viewership since their move to the USA Network. NXT also tied for the lowest rating in the 18-49 demo, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Last week, Dynamite did 732,000 viewers and ranked 12th in the demo and 66 in viewership. NXT did 663,000 viewers last week, ranking 33rd in the demo and 68th in viewership. AEW did a 0.23 rating in the 18-49 demo, while NXT did a 0.15 rating in the demo. For both shows, it was their lowest rating in the demo in their history, though NXT has done a 0.15 rating 2 other times. Last week's AEW show did a 0.28 rating in the demo, so they dropped 500ths, while NXT did a 0.18, which they dropped 300ths. The Challenge on MTV topped the night in the demo with a 0.49 rating, but did 847,000 viewers. Sean Hannity's show on Fox News Channel topped the night in viewership with 4.7 million viewers and ranked 4th in the demo with a 0.35 rating. Survivor on CBS topped the night in network viewership with 7.942 million viewers, and The Masked Singer on Fox Television did a 1.8 rating in the demo, so that topped the night there. So with AEW winning the viewership battle this week, they have 26 wins now. NXT has 5, and we have the 1 tie. My pick of the week, and this was very close this week, but I'm going to give the slight edge this week to NXT. I thought the stuff with Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle at the end looked pretty good. I thought they were just a little bit better here this week. AEW, I mean, that women's 4-way match was kind of, But other than that, they didn't really do a whole lot wrong. I thought AEW was good, but I thought NXT was just a little bit better. So they're my pick of the week. So through 30 picks, I have NXT with 18 picks and AEW with 12 picks. Let me know down in the comments section below what your favorite moment from Wednesday's wrestling action was. And we'll see you the next time with the next Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here on YouTube. Bye for now, everyone.